Okay. Whoa, angels, bro. Thank you, man. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. What's up, Scott? What's up, guys? And try to do better than last night. Last night was annoying, so we're gonna try to do better. I'm forgetting something. Give me just a sec. Okay. Now we're better. What's up, Luke? Angels? Angel? All the angels. Appreciate you guys. What's going on? What's up, what's up, what's up? Thank you, Luke. Appreciate you, bro. A lot of shares. Hoping we get, like, something better than what happened last night. Last night was horrible. I tried to say hard and horrible at the same time. Can't do that. Doesn't work. Don't recommend. How's it going? It goes, bro. It goes. However, last night was really annoying. Okay, so I'm trying this new thing where I'm not bringing guests up until we get to like at least 5,000 likes. I don't like to make like rules like that. I know it's kind of dumb. But I've noticed that like it can help with like the quality of guests. So if we can try to get up to 5K before I bring a guest up, I'd really appreciate that. So let me put my windows up because it's just gonna be loud and obnoxious in the background. What's up, Flat Earth? What's up, Nick, bro? What's going on, man? It freaking goes for real. It does not stop. Found out today that there is a south coast in Antarctica. I mean, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't. Actually, I don't know. I don't know, dude. I feel like you could find a source that says anything. You know what I mean? That wouldn't necessarily make it like real. You could also find sources that say Antarctica is a continent on the bottom of a space ball. So it doesn't really matter anything. What's up, Sono? Cheers back, bro. Cheers to you too, friend. There would only be north. Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like you could find a source that says that there's an east coast of Antarctica, right? Like, but I'm not like other flat earthers. Like, I don't make the positive claim that Antarctica is a perimeter. I always usually just say that that's a working theory, right? But we don't know for sure that it's like 100% the circumference or perimeter, so to speak. Like, you don't know that, right? So I guess it wouldn't really matter anyway. The ocean doesn't curve. Airplanes don't adjust for curvature, that kind of thing. Seems kind of arbitrary to like be worried about Antarctica, what's going on over there. It's a place that you're objectively never going to go, probably. Like, I don't know. I would like to see like statistics on like how many, like compared to the human population, how many people actually go. It's probably less than 1%, you know. Spelled it wrong? I don't think I spelled anything wrong. If you're attacking my prompt, that's weird. I've been using this prompt for months, actually. I'm about due for a new one, to be honest. I could probably swap this out for something different if I feel like it one day. Maybe I will. But even if I spelled Earth wrong, does that make it a ball? Right? Okay. Let's see. Yeah, good try, though. Yeah, for real, man. Oh, he's talking to you. Oh, screw that guy, man. Why would you choose that username, by the way? It's kind of a weird place to be, like, mentally. Your show is on? What's up, Wilson? I did get your message, bro. I had to get this thing. I had to get the ball rolling over here. So I didn't look at what you sent me yet, but I will. I promise you I will. Um, Heard a Globey calling flat Earth. Like, yeah. Yeah, that's so common. It's no surprise that they don't know the shape of it because they can't even pronounce the word itself. You know what I mean? Like, that's never really that big of a surprise when they mispronounce it. Debate Professor Dave? Yeah, give me his contact information. You know, or Spear. Yeah, Spear is another like crazy one. That one happens all the time.
Oh my god, wait.
Yo, the earth is flat.
You said it says.
Yep, you heard it here first, brother. Go tell all your friends in high school. Probably gonna get slandered or what's the word I'm looking for? Bombarded, because I can't think of the actual word I was looking for with.
Yo, so what makes you wait, pause. What makes you think the Earth?
Wait, pause. No, I don't have to do that, unfortunately. Uh, Statistic and science that goes behind this. Behind what? Behind the positive claims that you haven't made. You can't just like make an argument like that with no specificity and expect anybody to be able to attack it with specificity. I didn't mean to invite you, Angels. My bad. That was press the button at the same time as the guy left. I didn't mean to invite you, bro. I'm sorry. Inbox Professor Dave. He won't debate. He won't debate flat earthers. Actually, unless you want to come up here, you can, Angel. I don't care if you want to come up here. I don't care, bro. But like, this is gonna be just like last night. I'm going by like the looks of it, the looks of my guest box right now. We're looking at like probably a bunch of children. Plus, if I bring you up, it's gonna scare any intellectuals away. That's the biggest thing about like having you or Caleb up here. That's the biggest like pain when it comes to that is, then there's two of us. You know what I mean? Then they don't want to. It happens like every single time. It's the worst. Let's try this person. This person looks like he could be an adult. What up?
How's it going, man?
Hey, man, do you believe the Earth's a sphere?
Yeah, I believe it's a sphere. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You believe it's a disc or flat disc?
I believe it's a topographically level plane. I wouldn't make too many claims outside of that.
How wide across is Earth in miles?
What did I follow up my statement with?
Yeah, you just said
repeat what I
it's
said to you?
you just said it's just a topographical map.
No, that's not what I said. I said it's a topographically level plane, and I won't make any other claims outside of that. So for you to ask me, like, hey, what's your claim on the distance? Like, that's just you're
Okay.
not paying attention. So do you have? Wait,
Well,
no, I'm just gonna. No. I'm done after that. Like after that, that's it really puts me
oh, okay.
in a
Wow, that
different
was
mental
easy.
state. Like,
So you concede.
no,
All right, great.
I'm not leaving the conversation. I'm done answering your questions. You have to provide evidence that the Earth is a sphere now. Unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we know that the power of the sun by wattage is actually 382 zeptillion watts. We know how far light
Oh,
travels
you're
based off
that
of that
guy.
wattage.
Yeah, we're not making up numbers here, bro. We're not doing that. Have a nice
Yeah,
day.
you ran, remember? You
You're that.
conceded by running
I
because you
guess.
don't
I
have
mean, if
truth.
that's what I don't have truth. Zeptillion's not a real number. What do you mean I don't have truth? I guess if it's worth my time, I'll maybe make time to look into whatever he's claiming, but I'm not going to go around in circles with you on a number that's just completely fairy tale. Like, I don't have any information to go off of, and I doubt you could even source it. Most people can't. It's cool, bro. 2 or more billion miles, yeah, like, okay. What's up, Castle? You there?
What's up, dude?
Hey, man, do you believe the Earth's a sphere?
Yes, I do.
Why is that?
Something called tropospheric ducting.
You came to the right guy.
Really?
How does that prove the shape of Earth?
It has to do with the distance that we can talk in radio frequencies from one side of the planet to the other
Oh,
side of the
whoa,
planet.
wait. Radio wave frequencies. They use skywave propagation. They also use like tropospheric reflection,
Yeah.
ionospheric reflection. That's not ducting. It's two entirely different things.
Well, so there's skywave propagation and there's ducting, but I mean it's depending on what waves you're talking about. I mean, me personally, I'm talking in like
Radio
high
waves.
frequency
Radio
radio
waves. Yeah. Radio waves don't use ducting. They
So what
propagate. That's the claim that they okay, I'm teaching you, right? They propagate. Do you know what propagation is? I'm not trying to be
Yes.
rude.
No, you're
Right,
good.
so they would bounce off the ionosphere, and then they bounce back down. They claim that they hit the surface of the Earth and it zigzags until it hits its target. That's
Sure.
not ducting. That's propagation.
Okay, then maybe my
Ducting would be
initial
used.
claim was incorrect.
Ducting would be used with microwaves. If you were to, that would be like the wheelhouse for that.
Okay, then let me go ahead and backpedal and let's talk about radio wave propagation.
I mean, if you want to.
Well, I mean, it just depends on what you believe the Earth's topographical plane, does that encompass all of the known places that we have on regular maps? Is your map different than what I use as a map of a sphere? Like, are all the
What is
places they
your
exist?
argument?
I'm saying that
What is
we're
your
able to communicate one side of the planet to the other side of the planet because we can bounce those signals across the ionosphere. That doesn't happen on a
your
flat plane.
claim that's adorable. Your claim is that it ping pongs around in an invisible, unfalsifiable layer of the atmosphere, right? And it zigzags around and curves
Yeah.
in the process, which
Yeah.
you wouldn't really like. The math for that would be insane. Because like your first would be like straight up relatively, right? And then, or actually it would go straight away from the surface and then it would go straight up like relative to the surface of the earth. But then it would bounce at an angle that was like sort of almost in line with the surface of the earth. And it would be like, it would be so hard to math that out. My claim is that it just goes line of sight or relatively line of sight, accounting for maybe some levels of refraction depending on distance. But my claim makes a lot more sense. Yours is like I said, yours is literally unfalsifiable. Like, how do I prove that there's not an ionosphere that this is propagating off of when we launch them line of sight anyway? How
Well,
do
maybe
I
if
prove that there's not that?
well, maybe if we're wrong in the way of our thinking, right? And I'm just trying to think of this in terms of how would this work in a flat Earth? How am I able to communicate
I just
radio wave
explained it.
propagation?
I just
No,
I
no,
just
no, no, no.
explained it. What did
How
I
am I
say?
able to? No, I got what you said.
What
I'm just saying, how am I
what
able
did
to
I say
communicate with
though?
Australia?
Castle, what did I say though?
You said the math doesn't math.
No. What did I say about communication on a flat Earth? What did I say?
It's line of sight. I'm
Oh,
saying it's not line of sight.
how do you falsify that? How do I falsify that?
I can't see Australia from my house. I can't even see
No. How do you
Australia if I climb a
falsify?
tower.
That we're not talking about seeing things. Radio waves aren't visible, so that's the non sequitur. How do I falsify the ionosphere? How do I falsify skywave propagation? How do I falsify these things? Why'd we mute him? Don't mute him, guys. I don't know who did that. It's fine. Don't. I didn't mean to. That was one of my mods. But how do I falsify? How do I falsify your postulates?
So I'm not up to speed with like debate lingo. So what do you mean falsify?
Well, falsification is not a debate lingo. That's a scientific lingo from Karl Popper. He would argue that something is not scientific unless it is falsifiable, meaning that it has to at least be able to be falsified, right? There has to be something that I can do to prove that that is not the case. With your, it's just a postulate. It's just like it's actually a post hoc retcon explanation for why things go too far. You can thank Marconi for that, right? Like he did a transatlantic transmission. I think it was like 2,000 miles or thereabout. And they told him he wasn't going to be able to do it because the curvature of the Earth was going to get in the way, or it was going to go off into space. And then it actually did land. This was before this was before the ionosphere was even like postulated or thought of. And then they came up with this idea, oh, it must be bouncing off of a layer in the atmosphere, and that's why. So the whole excuse of a ionosphere or an ionosphere is only exists as a post hoc rationalization. Therefore, it can't be falsified. It's not scientific. So my claim is that it just travels line of sight, which is what your question is. How does this work on a flat Earth? Brother, it's a million times easier on a flat Earth. Why would it not be?
Well, does easier usually mean more correct? I mean, we still have to have verifiable
What do you know?
evidence, either or.
Do you know what Occam's? Well, okay. So, do you know what Occam's razor is?
Yes.
Okay. So Occam's razor works in my favor, and your postulate is unfalsifiable. So, yeah, I would argue that I'm winning so far based on like criteria of evidence provided. Like light tends to travel in a straight path unless acted on by the atmosphere or something else, right? It can refract in some capacity, but to allege that it's bending around the ball, that would be a tropospheric duct, which we've already cleared off the table. That can't happen. So to claim that there's a layer of the atmosphere that it's just bouncing off of, that's unfalsifiable. You'd have to provide evidence that that's what's happening, unfortunately. Because I don't have to provide evidence of my claim. My claim follows the physics of light. Yours kind of does, but like it doesn't really follow the physics of logic, or not the physics of logic, but like the rules of logic, you know.
How can
And
I?
thank you, Angel. Angel sent me $20. Thank you very much.
I'm just trying to figure out a good way to phrase it because I mean, like, I've never really stood up on a stage in TikTok before and talked to somebody about an opposing view. Like, this is the first time I've ever done that, so I'm not really sure, like, how, like, like, I'm not really well equipped for this. But I've
Mhm.
personally talked to people in Australia from where I
Me too.
live on the east coast of the United States using high frequency radio propagation. I can't see Australia. I don't know of anybody who.
You don't have to be able to see it. You just have to. Okay, you can't see it, and yet you think it's more possible on a globe where you can't see it. Like that's weird. Like you wouldn't be able to see it even on a flat Earth. I don't understand. Why do you think seeing it has anything to do with radio wave propagation?
I'm
Why
talking
are
about
you
line of
conflating
sight.
those two?
Line
Yeah,
of sight.
okay. Line of sight doesn't mean you can see it though. That's not
But
what
is there
line
a
of
way to
sight means.
measure? But is there a way to measure in a straight line from where I live on the East Coast to Australia? I get what you're saying. I
Yeah,
don't have to see it like that. Sure,
it's
we can
called
only see a certain
geometry.
distance. But
Yeah,
has
it's called
anybody ever
geometry.
measured using like tools that they can measure distance? Has they ever gone to from one point to another? For example, I'm just using Australia. Is there a way to
You're
prove is there a way to prove that it's actually line of sight and not going over a curve?
Yeah, we can falsify the idea that the Earth is curving at all using microwaves specifically. The world record microwave transmission is 830 miles, and they demand line of sight. They do not refract, right? So, and
Sure.
like that was done at sea level, right, from a boat to a buoy, 830 miles. So
Okay.
that completely nullifies the idea that we live on a sphere with curving water, which defies physics. So that already, like, just because you can't see something, are you one of those, and this is not an insult, but are you one of those people that think like you'd be able to see the whole earth if it was flat? Like
No, I'm just trying to find I know there's a name for it. There's a tool. Sailors used to use it. It's a way that they measure long
sextant?
distances. Maybe.
A
I
sextant?
don't know exactly what I'm looking for, but it might be a sextant. Like how would you be able to define and measure one point to another? And in my instance, I'm using Australia. Like, how do you prove that it's, in terms of radio propagation, line of sight? Like, if I were to take a regular,
It
like, for
would
example, a
be
Yagi antenna.
because my claim agrees with the physics of light, and your claim is based on an unfalsifiable layer of the atmosphere with no like that goes against Occam's razor and doesn't have any scientific backing, right? Like
But I've done what I claim.
that's fine. And then what I'm telling you is that it would work better if the Earth was not curving. It would be more efficient. Light tends to travel in a straight path. So of course it would be more likely to occur if the Earth were not curving. Your claim is that the Earth actually is curving and that this somehow proves it. No, that's circular reasoning. That's a begging the question and affirming the consequent fallacy. That's not logical at all.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't want to talk in circles, but that's kind of all I had.
All right, man. Well, um, yeah, I'm sorry that I'm not like an expert on microwaves or anything, but I'm very well versed. So I was very excited to talk with you about this, and I appreciate you for
Yeah,
keeping it cordial. I'm sorry if I was rude.
I'm no, you're all right. I'm also a radio guy, but my
Hmm.
understanding on like this scale, like it's limited. I'm not that well
Yeah, no,
versed.
it's fine.
I do things in the practical sense, not on like what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
No,
So,
no, I
I mean,
totally get it,
you were
brother. I
excited to
totally
talk
get it.
about it. I'm,
Maybe
you
if
know,
you
I'm
maybe if you like find a better argument or want to freshen up on some things and then come back in the future, that's totally fine. You enjoy the
okay.
rest of your day, man.
All right, you as well. Bye
Peace.
bye.
Yeah. He said bye bye like it was a phone call. I like that. No, that was cool. That was cool. The practical sense is a flat earth. Yeah. The physics of light. Like, it's so silly how that's like not where you guys are mentally. It's so weird. I don't get it. Like, yo, light travels in straight lines, but somehow that's going to prove that the earth curves. Like, what? Microwaves as evidence for the globe. He originally said microwaves, but then he kind of, I understand, like, microwaves are on the radio wave spectrum, so there's like some nuance there. I think microwaves that start at like 3 millimeters. They go. I forget. I think they go to like from 3 to 30 millimeters, if I'm not mistaken, wavelength. So there's like some nuance, and at the end of the day, that's you could say that's semantics, and I would actually even give it to you. It's technically not, but because they do behave quite differently. But we don't have to get into a tit for tat over that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to fight you on that. What's up, Alicia? Thank you very much. What's up, Adam? You old?
Hello?
Can I get your age? What?
24.
Is that how you...
Earth,
Okay. All right, I appreciate it, man. Was that like an aardvark or what was that? I don't know, like a sea otter. Just cool, man. I hope you have a safe swim back to your location of residence.
Yo, fuckface, have you ever been to space? No, I didn't think so, you fucking idiot. What do you mean the Earth is flat, you stupid fuck?
Okay, that's a double standard if I've ever heard one. That's also called special pleading. You're holding me to a standard that you yourself do not like fully satisfy, right? Like you've never been to space either. That's also not a requirement for figuring out the shape of the Earth. You don't need to go to space. And starting off a sentence with "yo f face" is a little hostile. I don't know why you waited that long to be so angry. If I was that angry, I probably would have just left personally. That's what I like to do. But some people walk away. Some people make things worse. It is what it is, man. You can't really do much about it. NASA took you to space tomorrow. Would I stop believing in God? Those are two entirely different arguments. Debate you on this respectfully. Yeah, okay. People that say that never tend to actually do that, but we'll see. Demonic atheists manifesting. Yeah, it's a real thing. What's up?
Yep. Yo, how you doing?
I need your age, bro.
I'm not 21, but I can still debate you on it.
No, you can't. No, you can't. If you were at a theme park and you weren't tall enough to get on the roller coaster, do you think they would like let you pass? You think they let you on there, even though it's a safety for everyone, or a safety violation for everyone involved? You're putting other people's lives at risk. You're not putting other people's lives at risk here, but you're certainly not tall enough to be here, brother. That's the analogy that I'm trying to make. Can't video record the whole trip. It's just dumb. Like it's a begging the question fallacy too. It's like you have to pre-assume space exists, assume that we can travel there, and like make that your arbitrary standard for the satisfaction of burden of proof. It's silly. What's up?
Hey, I'm 22 and I just need some advice. I agree with you, but I believe in flat earth and round earth. It's just I want to believe in flat earth just because I'm starting not to believe in round earth. I just need some more evidence about flat earth. Could you give me that? If not, that's cool.
What have you come across so far?
Well, what you were talking about, and then I mean the ice walls. I mean there can't really be an ice wall.
What was I talking about? What was I talking about?
The waves and stuff like that.
Waves? What waves in regards to what?
I've only been in here for a minute. I just joined. I mean, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, you're wasting my time. You're trolling me, bro. It's cool. I don't know why you gotta like feel the need to do that. It's a little strange. You obviously weren't paying attention in the conversation. It's cool. Like you can just tell me you believe the Earth's a sphere and just be yourself. I don't know why everybody's afraid to be themselves. It's a little weird. I don't get it. Waves and yeah, screw it, man. Is that a quote from a Bill Nye VHS tape? Thank you, Angels. Appreciate you, brother. All right. 20,000 likes already, dude. You guys are going off. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying, but I'm looking at these guests. I'm not impressed. Not impressed with what TikTok's been doing.
Generals and the like, it pays to look professional. We've loaded the.
I don't need your TV on in the background. Alicia with the Stingray? Stingray. I got this. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Because ducting, yeah, I know. Just like tropospheric ducting proves that the Earth is a ball, even though it only exists as a postulate with an unfalsifiable layer of the atmosphere that probably doesn't exist. It's only in post hoc rationalization. I learned a new term today, and I used it on that guy. It's retcon, which is I don't know if I still have the screenshot. I think I deleted it. Yeah, because I'm a dummy. That's okay. Sorry about that. That's fine, brother. 70, 80 space programs. All of them say the Earth is a globe. Only like I forget, like 7 to 10 of them have like launch capability, so kind of a weird hill to die on. But retcon, God, it's gonna bug me. I was telling somebody about it earlier, and now I can't remember for the life of me what it was. They do it in like storytelling, right? The like, say you have like a trilogy of books, like in the third book, they'll come up with something that kind of contradicts what happened in a previous book. Which, if you look at the globe model, this happens a lot. It's continuity is the second part of it. It's something continuity. It ruins the continuity of your story, right? Which I think is like so what these people do. Like just relativity in and of itself, just total retcon. Like just ruins the continuity of what you claim previously, right? Always having to readjust. Retroactive continuity. I love you. Retroactive continuity. Yeah. And it's just like, it ruins like the story that you're trying to tell to anybody who's paying attention. Now, obviously, with books and movies and stuff, there are people that are a little bit more nerdier that pay closer attention, right? And I guess with flat earthers, we fit that criteria as well. We pay very close attention to what we're being told about the world and science and these things. So we're the ones that notice the continuity breaks, right? The things that break continuity. The things that like aren't canon, if you get the reference or if you get the wordplay. Anyway, fun word that I learned watching Dragon Ball Z, actually, or watching a breakdown of a Dragon Ball Z thing on YouTube. I'm a nerd, forgive me. But anyway, here's proof the earth is round. Wow, the one verse in the Bible that you could like translate incorrectly and say that the earth is a globe. Congratulations. Way to cherry pick.
YOLO gaming.
This cam guy, I gotta block this dude for sure. Oh, he already is blocked. How does that work? Why are you still spamming requests? How are you still spamming requests? How does that work? How does that happen? How does that happen? Why does that happen? Anime you can recommend? I don't like anime really. I only like Dragon Ball Z. That's the only anime that I like. And like Super and Dragon Ball and stuff. I'm Majin Vegeta dominating Boo. That's funny. Yeah. We are the Saiyans, bro. We are the Saiyans. Yeah, I only like Dragon Ball Z. I could probably get into like Naruto if I wanted to, or like maybe One Piece, but it's just I just go with what I'm familiar with, and Dragon Ball Z is very nostalgic for me. You guys need help thinking the earth is flat? I think you need help thinking the earth is flat. It seems like you can't like get your head around it. I think you need some assistance. Really. Baki and Dragon Ball Z, that's it. Dragon Ball Z is why the earth is flat. Nobody said that. Speaking Greek to me? Yeah. Apparently you're not the only one. This Sparky guy can't keep up in the conversation either. He thinks I'm using an anime as evidence that the earth is a globe. Or flat, rather. What a dummy. Yo, Pipe Down is gonna end up getting blocked if he doesn't stop spamming requests. You came up here once, you admitted it was an accident. Please stop that. Budokai Tenkaichi 3? Oh my god, bro. Okay, so I had a PlayStation 2 when I was a kid. I think a lot of us did. And I had that game and the second one, and I don't remember which one I was playing. But I didn't have a memory card. So I would leave my PlayStation on for like, I'm not even exaggerating, like weeks. I would leave it on for weeks. And just like play it after school and on the weekends and stuff. And I still never beat it. Because I would always get, my PlayStation actually started like making clicking sounds. Because it's like, it was like freaking out. It was like, what are you doing to me? So true story. And like that took me back. Oh, Sparky's going to come up here now. Wow, that's good. He's going to use Dragon Ball Z to prove that Namek is real. What's up, Spark? What up, man? Do you believe the Earth is a globe?
Yeah, scientific facts been proving that for hundreds of years. What do you have?
Can you name a scientific fact that proves the Earth is a globe?
We literally have photographs taken from outer space of the Earth. What do you have?
What's the independent variable for a photograph?
A photograph comes from a camera. That's the independent variable. What evidence do you have that it's flat? Tell me one thing.
What? No. Like, do you know what's an independent variable? What is that?
don't give me these absurd questions just to just to knock off the questions that I asked you because you can't answer them. Like, come on, dude.
Okay, fine. Water. Okay, fine. Water always finds it. Don't mute him, guys. Stop muting my guests because they just get pissed off and then they don't want to talk anymore. So don't do that, please. I don't want to get mad at people, but don't do that. All right. So water always finds its level. Aviation makes no physical corrections for Earth curve. No absurd questions. I know. What's an independent variable? Crazy. Anyway. It wasn't you. I know it wasn't you. I know. I watched who it was. It's okay. Like, I'm not mad at anybody, but don't feel the need to mute these people. It's usually fine. I'll do it myself. It's fine. I like to handle the guests for all my mods. When there's people on my panel, I like to handle them. Regardless, aviation, fly straight and level, wouldn't work on a sphere. Microwave travel line of sight, that objectively doesn't work on a sphere. So I can provide evidence, and you're just like dodging the question and bringing up photographs. You don't know what an independent variable is. Do you want to pick up the conversation where we left it off?
Right. So if you're claiming that the Earth is completely flat, then why are we?
What's an independent variable?
Can you let me finish?
No, because you say that we have scientific evidence that the Earth is a globe, right? Therefore, it would have to follow the scientific method, meaning there would have to be some form of independent variable that was used in an experiment to prove that it was the cause for something. So what was the independent variable for the photograph that you looked at?
Okay, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, but let me finish real quick. So,
right, that's fine. Can you admit that you don't know anything about science at all?
No, I know a lot. I just don't know that exact question. And
what's the scientific method?
All right, you totally like threw off what I was asking you, and that's not even fair.
I know you had a certain level of like rhetoric that you wanted to come up here with like your gotcha questions, and that's not what I do, bro. You make a positive claim. You have scientific evidence. It has to.
What you do is
you have scientific.
You say this is my live. I'm the boss. This is my live, and
it's not even like that, bro. It's just a burden of proof thing, right? Like, I'm sorry that you don't know how to think logically. They don't teach you that in school. They teach you the Earth's a ball, but they don't teach you how to prove it. I get it, right? So, all right, you know what? You talk. You're so fucking smart. You do it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, you can debate. You can't let me finish what I was saying. Like, that's bullshit, dude. You're just like, oh, it's my live, so I know everything. So
then do it. I never said that once. That's a straw man. Please continue without the whining.
You're acting like a pussy, so fuck you. Anyways,
can you just finish your argument?
My argument is you're full of shit, and you're fucking you are brainwashed for thinking that the Earth is flat, and you have no and a fucking douchebag.
Okay. Now that's oh, come on, guys, he's fine. Whatever. I would have milked that for another minute and a half if I could have, but that's fine. I'm brainwashed. Got you, bro. Great evidence that the Earth curves. I'll bring up one more. I'm brainwashed. Weird. Brainwashed into following science.
Hello?
What a bad thing. Hey, teenager. What are you doing?
Going on a live.
No shit, Sherlock. Is that the extent of like the intelligence level of a child these days? Like the average child? Oh my god, we're doomed. I'm not bringing you up here, Pipe, bro. You came up here and said you came up here by mistake, so that was your thing. You had your chance. What up, bro? I don't know if Angel's still wanted up here. He might be.
Oh yeah, what's up, man?
What's up, bro? How you been?
Yeah, pretty good, man. Dude.
Yeah.
Yes, dude. Fuck.
I don't get it. Thank you for all the gifts, guys. You guys are going off with the gifts tonight. Thank you very much. The S is flat. It definitely is not a ball. Seriously, yeah. Now what? Always ad hominem? I know, dude. It's like, what's an independent variable since in your scientific experiment of looking at a picture? It's like, you're so stupid. Like, okay. Right. That must be it. IQ 0.001. Gobi Marathon this morning? I saw, dude. You had like 350 people when you were... Oh, he left. Well, what the heck? He had like 350 people on this morning. I was like in and out of consciousness and his live. Like, I wake up and it's like... You know... Is it tiring being upside down? There he goes.
I
What
don't
the? I have
know.
no idea.
I don't know what happened then.
I have no idea what happened. Gravity, dude.
Yeah, I think I got caught in a gravity slide.
Yeah, like the fabric of space time. You gotta watch out for that shit.
Yeah, dude. Was it 350? I think that's actually my record so far.
Yeah, it was dope.
Dude,
I
I
was
don't
like,
remember who it was. I think it was that frog guy or whatever. Dude, he got. I think that's where it popped off because he was just getting flat smacked so hard.
hold on. No, whatever. Gravity well supped him up. The geodesic. What's up, Truth Seeker? 352. You were there? Yeah, everybody was in there. I like wake up and I usually catch like I don't know. I have so much shit to do when I wake up. It's insane. But like I usually catch like the end and I kind of put it on the background while I'm doing shit usually. Unless I have time to join, then I like to join your lives. Never believed in God until they showed you Satan. Okay. I don't know what to do now, man. I don't know what to do. They're so smart. The flat Earth will implode into a sphere. Yeah, tell me you got that from a Netflix documentary or something without telling me. It's always people on Smurf accounts too. It's nuts. Glad Angels has the morning stream in my evening. I wish my evening ones went better. I'm not gonna lie, dude. My evening ones kind of suck lately. I get like the worst guests possible. Earth was flat, we'd be tilted. What's that?
I've noticed it, man. Your guests are like just unreal, dude. I can't believe it.
No, they never get. Well, I had one guy the other night that was like, I ended up sending him some videos and shit, so that was cool. But doesn't even happen to me anymore. It's always just like insufferable. It's either children or like that other guy. There's no in between. It's just people that can't have a conversation.
It's really sad, right?
Oh.
Because these are the young generation. Like, if they're all like that, dude, it's just like we're doomed.
Yeah, I know some people with smart kids, but I think the intelligent people are the minority for sure. Like, not even intelligent, just like people who can see, you know.
That's why I had to up my thing to 21 plus because it was 18 plus, and it was just like every single 18-year-old is just literally a waste of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anybody from like the ages of 18 to 21 is just like they're gonna act like they're gonna come up with their chest puffed out and start, demanding whatever. It's so annoying.
Yeah, they're so confident and they know absolutely nothing. Like, you just got done with your indoctrination camp and you know nothing. You think you do.
Yeah. And then you got people that like out themselves in my comments and tell me that they're not 21. It's like so stupid, bro. Their IQ is like 6, 7. All they need is to read some logic. It's insane, bro. Logic is not even that. Like, you can literally learn logic just from like Googling stuff. Like, you don't even have to read like Aristotle or anything. You can just Google stuff and learn it. Or watch a YouTube video.
If we didn't learn logic, dude, we'd be in trouble. Think about it. Imagine we knew we didn't know how to call out any of those fallacies. That's all they have. Usually that's all they have. We didn't know.
It's such a profound amount of sophistry, bro. I've never it just gets worse. Yeah. Remember when FE's made NASA shut down their FB feed? They still to this day don't turn their comments on their YouTube channel, which I think is interesting.
Remember that what was his name? Brick something, right? He went up and flat smacked him one time. Do you remember? Yeah, dude.
I debated him twice. Yeah, he's silly.
Dude, first time I went up there, he got absolutely destroyed to the point where he kicked me and blocked me. He literally kicked me and blocked me. It was that bad.
Yeah. He hasn't blocked me, and I still I'll be scrolling through my feed and I see him, and I'm always like, do I want to? But it's like, I actually feel like I bully him when I talk to him because he's clearly not all there, you know? But he was telling me exponents are the same as addition and what the, it was so stupid, bro. Oh God, he's a
Dude,
hilarious person.
He kept on agreeing with me without knowing. Like he'd be like, I can't bring you gas with gravity because it'll fill the available space due to fluid mechanics. I'm like, why isn't it fill the available space? Pointing at the blue blue dot. And he just
Yeah. Yeah, he tried to tell me exponents were the same as addition, and I was like, okay, but 3 times 3 or 3 times 3 times 3 is like 27, but 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 9. So like, how can it be the same? Like, what?
I remember
It's so stupid, bro. Yeah, he's a dummy.
Dude,
he's weird too because he's a Christian, like allegedly. You know?
Dude, I don't. That's questionable, man. One guy actually came up, or a Christian came up, and he's like, "How are you a Christian when you believe all this stuff?" Like, what? It's true. Like, what is he? What?
Yo, are you actually dumb? The Earth is not flat. You're actually mad.
This guy's on his dad's account. There's no way there's a 5-year-old named Robert. Like, don't do that.
All right, come on, man.
Dad, can I use your phone? I want to debate the flat earthers. Like,
He literally sounded 5'2". He wasn't like 12. There's no way.
Yeah. Can I play games on your phone? Just like gets on TikTok and joins a flat earth live. Christian like McToon, yeah.
Yeah,
oh God, yeah.
Literally, man.
And like it's all about like they'll always claim like, oh, you can interpret the Bible however you want. My response to that is always like, did Jesus metaphorically die on a cross? Like,
Exactly.
did he like metaphorically? Was it a metaphor? Like, and it's like they don't get it. You know what I mean? It's so weird. They get to pick and choose like what's a parable and what isn't. It's so dumb.
Just don't get right. You'd think like the least the book that would have least of that would be Genesis, right? Because it's talking about the creation, right? You wouldn't metaphorically talk about your creation, right?
No, of course not. It wouldn't even make sense to do that. Like,
if there's one book to take literally, it would be Genesis.
Yeah. It's just silly, bro. It's just cope. It's actually just cope. It's such cope.
Yeah.
I don't understand like how you, and it's the same people that are like, I put God over everything. And it's like, dude, you don't even put God over your education. Like it, like, or your indoctrination.
A lot of people claim to be like these Christians, man. They're just not, man. Like that cute up guy that you met or whatever, right? He has a lot of that. Like, oh yeah, I'm a Christian. He's like, what's the first book of the Bible? And they don't even know. Like,
wow, that's bad. Somebody asked me if I have any more presentations. I do. I have a presentation on logic. If you guys want to do that, couldn't hurt. Honestly, these guys don't know logic at all. Yeah,
I've been really bad at logic.
I guess I got the 3 fundamental laws of logic, I guess, but it's not really.
And mine's not super in depth. Like I don't go in depth with the fallacies and stuff. I just go through like the difference between like the left hemisphere of the brain and the right and things like that.
Typically,
people,
I'd say typically the most common is strawman. I think. I think like where's the edge?
I
like,
guess. Yeah. And it's weird that, like, I guess, yeah, that too, because you could say, like, even when they ask you, like, how a sunset works, like, that's a straw man kind of, too, because you're insinuating that we never thought about that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that sometimes it's dark, right? Like, it's so stupid.
I love it when, like,
kind of a straw man.
I've noticed in real life more, like, people, like, they start, like, going, like, oh, but, you know, the Earth is spinning, right? And it's also orbiting, right? And they start explaining it to you, like, oh, dude, I know.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to explain the globe. It happens all the time in real life. It's like, dude,
they just repeat their second grade science book to you and just, but it's not backed up with anything. It's just repetition, which is, to be fair, that's all you learn how to do in school. So I get it. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of understand it. Burden shifting? Yeah, burden shifting is annoying.
Oh, he did that to me too. He goes, that brick guy, he's like, okay, explain to me how gravity works. I'm like, I don't believe in gravity, right? And then I go to him. He goes to me, a flat Earth doesn't work. And I'm like, okay, explain how it works then. You see what I did there?
Yeah, explain gravity since we don't understand it, explain it to us. And they never have like a good explanation for gravity. It's always like mass attracting mass, and it's so far off. I did try to bring that guy up. There we go. I'll load up my laptop for the meantime. What's up? Is it dim? What's up, bro?
What's up, bro? How's it going?
Hey, man, do you believe the Earth is a sphere?
Nah.
Okay. Looking for opposition, brother.
Alright, brother.
What's up, Cognizant? What's up, man? Never been put, but appealed authority sends me to the moon. It's, you know what the worst part is? It's almost never an appeal to an actual authority. It's what's called an appeal to anonymous authority, where they'll appeal to like scientists, right? Which is a combination of a generalization fallacy and an appeal to anonymous authority. They can't name anybody.
Or like appeal to consensus. They'd be like, oh, but scientists believe it's a globe.
Yeah. Yeah. Globe heavy claustrophobia. Wow, I messed that sentence up royally. We know should be a fallacy. Begging the question, kind of, I guess. Usually when they say we know, it's some type of begging the question thing. Like, we know because of a lunar eclipse. Yeah.
Yeah. Or we know because science proved it. It's like, but they don't even know what science is.
Highly illegal. Siley will fine you $10,000. Why would I do that? Record the presentation so you can watch. It's on my YouTube, bro. The last one that I did, the microwave one, it's on my YouTube. And well, it's like, okay, so I download my my live streams and I sometimes post them onto YouTube, especially if I do presentations. So here, let me give you.
I know, man.
Sally will sue? No, I can't be bothered to do that.
Yeah, man. I think Joe's onto something here, man. It's very interesting to me that okay, so Sigma Octantis, its other name is Polaris Australis, which means Southern Polaris.
Yeah.
So this whole reflection thing makes some sort of sense. And also, if I was to show you the time lapses I've got of the South, the Southern Crux eerily looks very similar to the Big Dipper, and that's the thing that goes around like that as well. So, yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a firmament that gets wider as it goes outward, the reflection would be severely distorted, right? So, it does make a lot of sense. I guess I'll do the logic presentation for you guys, since I'm not going to get any more guests, I don't think, but I'll boot it up. I think Mercury and Venus at night disprove the globe. I saw Venus 2 nights in a row. It might even be out tonight. I'm not sure. It's not dark out yet.
You saw it at 10:30 or something, right?
I don't know what time it was.
Maybe that was, I think Newton saw it at
I texted Newton and I was like, bro, is this like, what am I looking at? I didn't want to be wrong so I just asked him because he's smarter than me. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, it's probably Venus. 10:15. Newton knows. That's so funny. I didn't know you were here, bro. Yeah. I literally had to ask him. He was like, pull out a compass, and I was like, I don't have one.
Dude, you know what's crazy, right? You know how when I show my Venus, how it like looks like it's eclipsed or whatever, they're like, oh, the exposure's wrong. It's too bright. It's like, dude, look how much it's brighter through my telescope.
Dude. It's so funny because I was on the phone with somebody and I was telling them, like, it's weird how you can claim that Venus is a freaking rock or what. I don't know if they claim it's a rock. I think they do, right? Yeah, but it's brighter than like you literally, it was out. There was no other stars. All I saw was Venus. So you're telling me that the brightest thing in the sky that's not the sun or the moon is a rock. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Sure.
Dude, honestly,
that was my first time seeing it.
Hypothetically, right? Let's just say we increase Venus's size to be the size of the sun in the sky. Honestly, it's just going to be as bright as the sun, I reckon.
Probably. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna drop you down, brother. I'm gonna go over the logic thing real quick, and then I'll probably get off of here for the night.
All right, man. Take it.
Much love, brother. Take it easy. Circus show. I don't know why that's like the. I don't know why you would go to that. Appreciate you, Angel. Thank you much for coming up here, man. Let me get the thing off of here. Whoa, brightness. We might have to turn the brightness down a little bit. I know you guys like the presentations. I do have other things. If we get through this quick enough, I'll go through some geocentric quotes. I have a lot that like I've never really. It's not like I've been keeping them from you guys or anything. It's just I never get the opportunity or take the opportunity to use them. And there's a lot of ones that are in there. Record now? Yeah, you can record, dude. I don't care. If you want to record to make it easier on yourself, bro, do it. I don't care. I'm just saying, like, if you want to save yourself the trouble and like the space on your phone, you could just go to my YouTube and it's on there. But I was trying to say this earlier and I forgot to mention. When I upload my live streams, it's just like TikTok live stream episode 20 whatever, right? Like, so you'd have to sift through and figure out which one it was. So it might be easier if you just want to record it. So I'm not going to sue you. That was a joke. Like, I wouldn't do that. Anyway, what is logic? Logic is the science of how to evaluate arguments and reasoning. Simple things, right? Critical thinking is a process of evaluation which uses logic to separate truth from falsehood. Good stuff. It's good stuff. I recommend it. I recommend being logical if you can. Reasonable from unreasonable beliefs. You separate reasonable from unreasonable. Like, what is, like that guy earlier that was trying to say that like it doing this around the globe is more likely than it doing this over a flat earth. Like, that doesn't fit Occam's razor. That's not logical at all. That makes no sense. We can skip the rest of that, I think. Logic is a formal science and systematic study of valid reasoning, inference, and argument structure. It's very important for debates. That's why I don't like when people are, when they are like, oh, stop with your Philbro stuff. And it's like, what? You mean being logical, addressing your argument with like specificity and like building a counter argument that nullifies your own argument, like that, and they calling out your logical inconsistencies and your fallacious reasoning and your sophistry. Like, that's what you don't want me to do. It's weird that you would prefer to. And I also wanted to say this. You'll see a lot of people, Clip was doing this in the debate. He says, I don't care about logic. Now I want you to take that statement, right? I don't care about logic, and invert it. I care about being illogical is what that inverts to. I prefer to be illogical is basically what you're saying when you say, I don't care about logic. You're saying, I would prefer to be illogical. That is a direct steel man. It's just an invert. It's just like a double negative kind of thing. It's really interesting. Sound reasoning is the process of constructing a well-supported argument by combining valid logical structures with factually true premises, whatever. And we use deductive reasoning, scientific method. Notice how that's in here. I didn't even have to I just looked up what is logic, and the scientific method actually comes up, which if you know anything about Globers, they can never give you the scientific method. Not even close. They can tell you that you look at stuff and that's pretty much it, right? Computer science and daily decision making, which if you guys are logical, you know that it affects your daily life quite a lot. Critical thinking. This is probably one of my favorite slides in this. I love this because it involves curiosity, which means you have to have a willingness to learn. You have to want to learn, which you notice a lot of people come in here and they don't actually want to learn. They want to ask you questions and they want to try to get you on something, but they don't really want to learn from you. That's why you get a lot of people that'll come back the next day and ask you the exact same questions that they asked the day prior, having no recollection of the answers that you gave them. And this is why I always try to get people to steel man what I just said. I did it once or twice tonight where somebody, I said something and they just completely handwave dismissed it, moved on to something else. And it's like, okay, I already answered you. What did I say? They weren't even paying attention. So they're not demonstrating curiosity or a willingness to learn. That's rule number one, in my opinion, right? Creativity, viewing information from multiple perspectives, sort of like a devil's advocate kind of thing. you'll notice that no glober has any familiarity with the flat earth position whatsoever, which is exactly where you should begin. You should have a familiarity with the flat earth argument before you attack it. That's how this works. You can't attack something that you're not familiar with. You're fighting ghosts at that point. Skepticism, maintaining a trust but verify mindset. I think a certain amount of skepticism, especially in today's world, is extremely healthy. In fact, it's almost the opposite of healthy if you're not skeptical of the world around you. Analysis means systematically examining and evaluating evidence. Obviously, that's pretty self-explanatory. If somebody gives you an argument or a piece of evidence, you should break it down to the best of your ability, analyze it, understand it as best as you can. Logic means reaching well-founded conclusions. Very simple. Critical thinking is intellectually disciplined process of actively analyzing, synthesizing, and evaluating information to guide belief and action. It involves objective, self-disciplined, and rational thinking, which is what a lot of people don't have. They're not very self-disciplined. You will see that. And they're not very objective either. They're very emotional from a subjective level. And rational thinking that uses evidence and standards, which their standards are typically very low, to determine the truth or merit of a topic. Aims to eliminate bias, which they're always very biased, assess arguments, and identify misconceptions. We can kind of skip the rest of this, I think, because this is just more of this. Is logic a skill? This is my favorite thing. Logic is a skill, bro. If you ride a bike every day, you're going to get better at riding a bike. It's just how it works. If you use logic on a very consistent basis, you're going to find yourself getting a lot better at it. Logic is a learnable and improvable skill, not merely an innate ability that involves critical thinking, structured reasoning, and problem solving. It allows individuals to analyze situations, evaluate evidence, and draw sound conclusions. Logic can be developed through practice, such as solving puzzles, studying formal logic, and applying structured thinking to daily tasks. Even debating, like debating and practicing logic and identifying unsound reasonings is super helpful for practicing this skill. Logic is a skill. So I like to try to drill that in as often as possible. I even did it in the clip debate because he said he didn't care about logic. And I was like, it's a skill. You can get better at it. And he was like, no, I'm okay. And it's like, obviously you're not, but okay. Left hemisphere versus right hemisphere of the brain. This part is awesome. So the left hemisphere of your brain, and this is just biology. This is not debatable. This is objective. Okay. The left hemisphere of your brain is logical. It is analytical. It is linear, meaning it thinks in a straightforward direction sequentially. Okay. Sequentially. So A, B, C, D, E. That's how the left hemisphere of your brain works. Very linearly, very sequentially. Okay. That's why when you're using logic, you can just keep up, right? Because your arguments aren't veering left and right. You're not going back. You're not going different directions. You're just straightforward, straight path, right to the conclusion. However, the right hemisphere of your brain is creative, imaginative, and emotional, which is, if you've ever talked to a Glober, they're very emotional. They're very angry. They're very hostile. And they use imagination and creativity to come up with a explanation for like the ionosphere just existing. And it's a post hoc, like we have to create it. You literally have to imagine it and create it. And then it only exists as an imaginary thing, as a manifestation of the mind. It doesn't actually physically exist. There's no evidence that it physically exists. It's just a postulate, this ionosphere that waves either get trapped in or they bounce off of and whatever. It's a postulate. So this is imaginative and creative, and they use emotion to guide that argument. Whereas with logic, I can deduce that, like, no, microwaves travel line of sight. Your ionosphere was a postulate post hoc after Marconi debunked the globe, and you needed an explanation for why we're still on a globe. Does this make sense? So I love that. Logic versus emotion, I always call it like an age-old adage of like the heart and the brain. I think it's exactly this, right? Left hemisphere versus right hemisphere. It's your logic versus your emotion. And this is interesting as well. Your brain has a biological priority towards emotion. Okay? When you get emotional, it triggers like your fight or flight, or at least it can. And your brain prioritizes blood flow towards the more emotional parts of your brain, or the parts that handle emotion. And it actually will not prioritize blood flow towards logical parts of your brain. So I can read this quickly. The brain processes emotions in the limbic system faster than logical thought in the prefrontal cortex. High emotion directs blood flow and energy to these emotional centers, leaving less for critical thought, critical thinking. This is a biological priority. So like, it is very, very crucial that when you're in a debate or when you're trying your best to be logic, do not get emotional. Your brain literally will prioritize the emotion over any level of critical thought. That is, and again, this is not debatable. This is biology. This is how your brain works, whether people know it or not, whether they want to admit it or not, right? This is just biology. This is everybody on Earth. Now, there could be some anomalies, right? Whatever. But generally speaking, within reason, this is just a biological norm that most people follow. The refractory period, I'm not sure about this. I don't remember this. When intensely emotional, you tend to only consider information that confirms the emotion. I do remember this, which I think is interesting. When you are emotional, you're very biased towards something that'll confirm your anger or your hatred or whatever it is. Anxiety causing you to only focus on danger. That's a good example, actually. Anxiety does cause you. If you ever had a panic attack, you focus on things that are dangerous to you. Actually, it happens all the time. Reduced cognitive ability, intense emotions cause black and white thinking, right? Narrowing your perspectives and reducing the ability to consider alternatives. And again, this is just biology. This isn't like, oh, I don't know. This isn't like a thought process or like a subjective thing. This is within reason, very objective, very specific to how you biologically work. Let's see. Emotions can have a significant effect on the way we think, decide, and solve problems. And trying to force logic in the middle of a high-stakes emotional moment is often ineffective. Because again, your brain prioritizes emotion biologically. So when you try to prioritize logic when you're already emotional, it usually doesn't even work, right? Sometimes it doesn't even work. Often better to wait until you're in a calmer, cool-headed state, which should go without saying, but it's some people get their pride involved. I do too. Like, I think it's just a normal thing at that point, but this is all very good information. This is like, I love talking about this. Good faith. We're moving on to a different topic now. Good faith in debate. This is more like, we don't really have to, this is good faith in like court or like, lawsuits and things, this section. So we can kind of skip that. Good faith in debate, though, is an honest, respectful dialogue where participants genuinely seek to understand your opposing view. Like, I should be able to steel man the globe, and they should be able to steel man my position. That's a genuine exchange of information and evidence for us to both arrive to a conclusion and meet in the middle, like a handshake. Okay? Exchange ideas and learn, rather than simply aiming to win or dominate, which a lot of these people do. They'll come in this box, they just want to win, they just want to get you on something, they want to ask you a question that you can't answer, I don't know. But they're not here to learn, they're not here to understand your view, they're not here to exchange ideas, they're not here to do any of that, they just want to get you, and it's not good faith. Like, by definition, it's not good faith. It requires assuming good intentions, using logical arguments, and avoiding deceptive tactics, like sophistry, which, if you don't know what sophistry is the use of fallacious reasoning, like the logical fallacies that we call out, with the intention to deceive. Okay, that's what by definition sophistry is. It's when you use fallacious reasoning with the intention to deceive your opponent or to distract them or to get them off topic, obfuscate, whatever, which is what a lot of these people do. So it's not good faith. Let's see. Prioritizing mutual understanding, which is what we should be doing, and truth seeking over a loyalty to a team, right? Which is what a lot of, like, every Glober has like this Globe jersey that they proudly wear and they want to rep their team. That's why, like, and I got to go back to the clip debate. I absolutely annihilated him. And I see so many Globers that are like, oh, he got you, he beat you. And it's like, that's just team loyalty. They're loyal to the team. They know he got destroyed. There's a part of them that understands that, hopefully. But they're loyal to the team, and he's the team Globe, so he's the guy that they have to root for. Even though he's like beat up, battered, and bruised by the end of it, that's what these guys have to do. And you'll see this in all walks of life, really. Then we get into the principles of logic, which Angels touched on earlier. This is pretty cool. I love this stuff, actually. There's three of them. There's actually a fourth, but we can maybe get into that. It's debated whether or not this is really like a thing. So the first one is the law of identity. A thing is what it is, okay? And my hand is this hand, okay? It can't be your hand. It can't be another person's hand. My hand is my hand. Okay, so this is what it is. This is the identity of my hand. Okay, it can only exist as this hand. It can't exist as anything else. This space bar can only exist as this particular space bar. It can't be a space bar on a different keyboard. It can only be this one. Okay, so that's the law of identity. Very simple. Everything is identical to itself. Space bar is identical to itself. Nothing else. The law of non-contradiction. A statement cannot be both true and false at the same time in the same context. Last time I did this, I had a coin, but I'll use my headphone case. This side has Samsung written on it. The other side doesn't. Like, it can't land on both sides, right? This side doesn't say Samsung. No matter what I do, it's not going to say Samsung. Unless I flip it over, but then it's the other side. So it can't be both on this side and that side simultaneously. That doesn't work. That defies logic. Very simple. And the law of the excluded middle. Now, if this were a coin, it's not, but I think I do have like a dime somewhere, but I'm not going to dig for it. To picture this being a coin, bear with me. This can actually, it can't. I was going to say, this can actually kind of sit on its side a little bit. A coin's not going to do that, though. A coin can either be heads or tails, right? So the law of the excluded middle, a statement is either true or false. There is no middle or third option. If it's a true dichotomy, which is two opposing views, red, blue, black, white, up, down, left, right, positive, negative, there's no middle ground to operate within. It's either positive or negative. It's either red or blue. It's either black or white. It's either up or down. It's either heads or tails. Okay? The law of the excluded middle. And then the fourth one, I will read it and we can talk about it for a minute, but for every entity, factor, event, there is sufficient reason to or explanation for why it exists and why it is so. This is a lot more philosophical, which logic itself is a branch of philosophy, so I kind of get it. But it's popularized by philosophers like Leibniz. I don't know how to say that guy's name. Or Leibniz, I guess. I don't know. Who cares? It demands that there are no brute, inexplainable facts, requiring that everything has an adequate cause or justification. But I guess you could take this into like religious directions, and it could cause some controversy here and there within those spaces. So just for this, I just have this up here just for the sake of transparency. There is technically a fourth, but it's debated as to whether or not it really it's considered like a fundamental law of logic. And then my keyboard's not working now. Hold on. There we go. Fallacious reasoning, which I mentioned just a minute ago. Fallacy is an argument that does not provide the necessary support to back the claim that was given. A fallacy is just a weak argument. That's all it is. It doesn't even mean you're wrong, right? It doesn't mean you're wrong. Like, you can beg the question and assume that a lunar eclipse is the Earth's shadow. Doesn't mean you're wrong. It's a really weak argument. It's not really built on anything but observation, and you have to beg the question that the moon is orbiting and that the sun is orbiting, that the Earth's orbiting the sun, and gravity. You have to beg the question on all these things. You have to affirm the consequent for each of them respectively, which is a lot of fallacious reasoning, and those are very, very weak arguments, which is what fallacious reasoning is. But it doesn't technically mean that you're wrong. But all a fallacy is an error in reasoning. Simply put, it's just not the strongest argument. That's all a fallacy is. An error in logic or a flaw in argumentation that weakens or invalidates a claim, often appearing persuasive while being fundamentally unsound. So, but simply put, it really just means that your argument could be stronger. So realistically, and I know this isn't how it comes across most times, but the point of calling out a fallacy, realistically, is to try to get your opponent to build a stronger argument or strengthen the argument that they already gave you. Technically speaking, that's what it really is. But when people use them in nothing but fallacies to try to prove the Earth is a globe, it more or less serves as like, no, that's not good enough. Like, that's not good enough of an argument. It can't be substantiated with anything other than sophistry or fallacious reasoning. Therefore, like, I can't take it seriously. When every single argument to defend the globe happens to be some sort of fallaciously constructed argument, I just can't, you know? Common errors in reasoning that undermine the logic of an argument. So, simply put, it's just an error in reasoning. It means that your argument could be way better, right? That's really just all it is, right? And the importance of identifying fallacies, which I kind of touched on, crucial for strengthening critical thinking, like we were talking about earlier. You practice this and you get better at it, right? You start to notice these things. You actually start to prevent yourself from committing them. It happens all the time. You'll think to yourself like, oh, I could say this, but it's like, maybe that's even like a straw man or a begging the question, or too hard to give specifics, but you do notice yourself like holding back from giving certain arguments because you know that they're not as logically sound as they could be. Therefore, they're kind of like weak arguments, so to speak. Therefore, like it's sort of like a fallacy. It enables individuals to detect flawed reasoning, which is the point of identifying these things, avoid manipulation, and construct sound arguments. By spotting errors like ad hominem or straw man, one can effectively dismantle weak arguments, improve decision making, and navigate information in media and politics more rationally. And again, a fallacy doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. It just means that it's poorly constructed. And the greatest example of this is the fallacy, which I've heard Globers try to call me out for this all the time, and I always get them back. It's really funny. Because it occurs when someone assumes that because a claim has been poorly argued, or a fallacy has been committed, that the conclusion itself must be false. No. You can claim that a lunar eclipse is evidence of the globe, but unless you have evidence that the Earth is actually curving, and that the moon is a ball, and that the sun is a ball, and all of this is happening, that's a really weak argument. It doesn't mean that you're wrong, it's just a very, very, very weak argument. So if I were to say, which sometimes we do say this as flat earthers, which technically we shouldn't, but this is kind of the point of all this. That's a begging the question fallacy, like 10 times over. A lunar eclipse is like 80 begging the question fallacies. I should one day like list all of them. It's insane. It's at least like 5 to 10. However, like, therefore your argument is wrong because it's a begging the question fallacy. Technically speaking, that's a fallacy. But we know that the lunar eclipse is not the Earth's shadow, so we can kind of get away with it. Like, we have actual evidence that contradicts the claim, so whatever. But it presumes that because a claim has been poorly argued, a fallacy has been made, it is necessarily wrong. Technically speaking, that's a fallacy in and of itself. If you just say, hey, you used a fallacy, therefore the Earth cannot be a ball, that's technically a fallacy. So just really drilling in the idea that all it means is that an argument is poorly constructed. It doesn't mean that it's technically incorrect, right? Burden of proof. I think Logan mentioned this earlier. He said he really dislikes this one. I'm not fond of it myself. Burden of proof lies not with the person making the claim, but with someone else to disprove. That's not how it works. If you make a positive claim, you have to provide evidence. The Earth is flat. Water always finds its level. Boom, done. Easy, right? They say the Earth is a globe. They have to beg the question and shift the burden of proof over to you. They'll be like, oh, well, you prove it's flat. Prove it's not a globe. And then we do that, and it's still not good enough. So shifting the burden of proof, pretty much, I think most people are familiar with this one. I didn't put a lot of fallacies in here, only like the ones that come up, like I think the most. And I could maybe touch on this a little bit more. Like, I could add more slides in the future, which I think I've been planning on doing, and I just never do. Straw man, you misrepresent someone's argument to make it easier to attack. Flat earthers think they live in a flat disk in space and it's orbiting the sun and it would be daylight all the time. That's a straw man. Water falls off, boats fall off, people fall off. That's a straw man. So we're all familiar with that. Begging the question, circular argument. Begging the question is a circular argument. The lunar eclipse is probably the best example where, like, you already presume the Earth to be a sphere. You already presume gravitational orbit of the moon. You already presume gravitational orbit of the Earth around the sun. You already presume gravity. You already presume all of these things. You presumed like 35% of the solar system, right? According to your model, right? So that's a begging the question fallacy. That's a very weak argument. Affirming the consequent. An invalid conclusion is drawn by assuming that because the result, or its consequent, is true, the cause must also be true. And the best example is actually down here. If it rains, the street is wet. The street is wet, therefore it must have rained. Well, no, their street could be wet because maybe somebody spilled water. Maybe somebody washed their car. Somebody left the sprinklers on, right? Like, who knows? It didn't have to have rained. So when it does rain, the street does get wet. That is true. But just because the street is wet doesn't necessarily mean that it rained. So that's like the best example of affirming the consequent. Can you send me this to study? It'll be on YouTube. I can put this on YouTube. And then it'll be my most recently uploaded video. Anecdotal, this happens a lot. Where people will be like, oh, I saw the curve from an airplane window. Or my dad works for NASA, right? Like, it's just a piece of personal experience or an isolated example. And you're using that as like the entirety of your evidence it's not backed up by anything. There's nothing else you can even draw from. Like, I just have to trust you. It's literally a trust me, bro. So that's what anecdotal is. Personal incredulity or personal ignorance, appeal to ignorance is also what this is called. Because you found something difficult to understand or aren't aware of how it works, you made it out to be probably not true. There's 50 folks in here. There is, actually. It's surprising. It's amazing that 50 people stay and watch these. It's crazy. I love you guys. Yours are awesome. But I don't call it personal incredulity. I personally call it an appeal to ignorance. Either way, semantics aside, it's the same thing. You're basically saying, like, I don't understand how a sunset would work on a flat earth, therefore the earth can't be flat. Well, no, your lack of understanding of how a sunset may or may not work does not dictate the shape of the earth. There is a logical explanation for a sunset. We're all familiar with what it is. And even when we give it to you, you just appeal to ignorance on something else, right? Appeal to dumb, yeah. So that's basically what it is. I don't understand it, therefore it's false, right? Basically. A red herring tactic used to divert a conversation away from the original topic, introducing an irrelevant, distracting information. If we're talking about lunar eclipses and then all of a sudden you bring up like circumnavigation, that could be considered a red herring. It's like, wait, when we haven't actually arrived to a conclusion on the lunar eclipse and you're talking about navigation all of a sudden, those are two entirely different things. That could be considered a red herring. Or if we're talking about gravity and you want to bring up like sunsets, it happens all the time. Red herrings are very, very easy to call out, very easy to notice. It's when somebody runs away from you. Somebody obfuscates, they start bringing up different topics to try to, because they're scared, like they realize they're in a corner, so they have to pivot, go somewhere else, move the goalposts, that kind of thing. Poisoning the well, this happens a lot. And we all know what an ad hom is. I don't know if I have a slide for ad hom. I don't think I do. Ad hominem is just insulting the character of the opponent. Hey, you're a dumb flat earther, therefore the earth's not flat, right? Like that's an ad hominem, basically. Just attacking your character. Poisoning the well is a type of ad hominem where unfavorable information, which actually could be true or false, but your unfavorable information is preemptively presented about the person or the source to discredit their future arguments. There should be a part in here says somewhere where tactic occurs before the opponent has a chance to speak. That's the only difference. Ad hominem is like kind of in the middle of it, like in the middle of the debate, back and forth. Like poisoning the well would be like, before I've been given a chance to speak, you're already calling me names, or you're already saying flat earth is dumb, or you're already trying to like appeal to the audience, appeal to the emotion of the audience, try to get everybody to think I'm dumb, right? Without actually giving me a chance to speak or form an argument. So that's what that is. And it happens a lot. These all happen all the time, actually. And the last one is kettle logic, which I don't really think is a fallacy, but I have this in here because I had just learned about it before I made the presentation. I think this is really interesting. We'll read this for the sake of simplicity. Rhetorical device where someone uses multiple mutually contradictory arguments to defend a single position. And the best example down here, it's when your arguments are all over the place. It's usually what happens when you catch somebody in a lie. They're like, oh, well, I did, but I didn't do it, but I did it at this time. And they just keep like changing it, you know? It's that, okay, Freud relates to the man who is accused by a neighbor of having returned a kettle damaged. Okay. And then the neighbor would respond that he had returned the kettle undamaged, but then he would also say that it was already damaged when he borrowed it. Well, you can't have returned it undamaged if it was damaged when you borrowed it. So that doesn't make sense. And then thirdly, he would say that he was never borrowed it in the first place. So you can't have returned it undamaged if you never borrowed it. It couldn't have already been damaged if you returned it undamaged. So all of your responses to this accusation contradict each other. And you see this a lot. It's like kettle logic. It's kind of like when people it's almost like double speak. It's when people just like contradict themselves over and over again. I had just learned about this, and I do see it from time to time, and I try to call it out. But I think that's the last slide. Yeah, that's the last slide. So that was the logic presentation. I need to finish a couple other presentations for you guys. I need to work on more. Oh, I promised you guys geocentric quotes. There's some good ones in here. Do I want to make saves? No, I don't want to save anything. There's some good geocentric quotes in here too. I have a bunch. We'll just like cherry pick. We'll do some quote mining real quick for you guys, okay? We're gonna quote mine. The trouble with this is Dayton Miller. The trouble with Professor Einstein is that he knows nothing about my results, Dr. Miller said. He has been saying for 30 years that the interferometer experiments in Cleveland showed negative results, when we never said they gave negative results. And they did not, in fact, give negative results. He ought to give me credit for knowing that temperature differences would affect the results. He wrote me in November to suggest this. I am not so simple as to make no allowances for a temperature. So his interferometry proved that the Earth was stationary. Einstein was like, oh, you didn't count for temperature. Yeah, the F he did. He just, kind of mad about that. There's also, you know what? I actually want to bring up, let me see if I can find it. I should have them right here. There's one from Stephen Hawking. All this evidence that the universe looks the same in whichever direction we look might seem to suggest that there is something special about our place in the universe. In particular, it might seem that if we observe all other galaxies to be moving away from us, then we must be the center of the universe. This is Stephen Hawking, A Brief History of Time. And then I have another one from Edwin Hubble. Such a condition would imply that we occupy a unique... This is after he made observations on galaxy clusters and noticed too much redshift. And like same amounts of redshift relative to locations he was looking. So it looked equally distributed around the Earth, which makes the Earth look like it's the center. Such a condition would imply that we occupy a unique position in the universe, analogous in a sense to the ancient conception of a central Earth. The hypothesis cannot be disproved, but it is unwelcome, and we would only accept it as a last resort in order to save the phenomena of heliocentrism. Therefore, we disregard this possibility. The unwelcomed position of a favored location must be avoided at all costs. Such a favored position is intolerable. Therefore, in order to restore, and I can never say this word, it just means the idea that everything's the same. Homogeneity, I can never say it. I'm actually good with words, so that says a lot, but whatever. And to escape the horror of a unique position must be compensated by spatial curvature. So we got to invoke space-time, we got to agree with relativity, because the thought of a geocentric Earth is intolerable, must be avoided at all costs, and therefore we disregard this possibility, and can only be accepted as a last resort. But the hypothesis cannot be disproved, right? Like, it's just crazy. Like, and this is, I think, where a lot of the double speak comes from with this paradigm, but I digress. And we'll do like a couple more. I believe I have really found a relationship between gravitation and electricity, assuming that the Miller, the ones we went over earlier, experiments are based on a fundamental ether. What is this? I don't want to invite to co-host. No, thank you. Fundamental ether effect. Otherwise, the whole relativity theory would collapse like a house of cards. So if Miller's experiments were true, then I don't think in memes, you dumbass fucking idiot. What are you talking about? Why do you follow me? Get out of here. It's not a meme. It's a direct quote. It literally has all the information down here. You guys gotta grasp at straws. Anyway, if Miller's experiments were true, relativity would fall like a house of cards, according to the man who came up with relativity. And no, it's not a meme. Like, that's a meme. This is not. These are words. I know a lot of you guys don't do any reading, right? This one's a little too long, but when I was a student, I saw that experiments of this kind had already been made by your compatriot Michelson. He proved that one does not notice anything on Earth as if that it moves, but that everything takes place on Earth as if it is in a state of rest. Reading is mean, yeah. Should the positive result of Miller's fringe shifts be confirmed, then the special theory of relativity, and with it the general theory of relativity in its current form, would be invalid. Only the equivalence of inertia and gravity would remain. However, they would have to be a significantly different theory. So he admits several times over that if Miller's or Michelson's experiments were actually true, then relativity is bunk. In the effort to explain the Michelson-Morley experiment, the thought advanced that the Earth might be stationary. Such an idea was not considered seriously, thank Edwin Hubble for that, since it would mean, in effect, that our Earth occupied an omnipotent position in the universe, with all the other heavenly bodies paying homage by revolving around it. Arthur Otis. Let's see if I have a couple more. If Michelson-Morley experiment had not been brought us into serious embarrassment, my gosh, the reading is hard for me tonight, guys. No one would have regarded relativity as a halfway option. So no one would have even considered relativity, the bending and warping of space-time, time dilating, space contracting, right? If Michelson-Morley hadn't put them in that, like, unfavorable position, to quote Hubble one more time, right? They were scurrying to try to come up with a theory as to why the Earth looks stationary. Michelson, not Michelson. I don't get into semantics, brother. It is not necessary that the hypothesis... Oh, I love this. This is Newton. Sir Isaac Newton. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is Copernicus. I'm stupid. Wow. It is not necessary that the hypothesis should be true, or even probable. It is sufficient that they lead to results of calculations which agree with calculations. So he just needed to come up with math for it. That's it. It didn't even need to be true. It didn't even need to be probable. This is Newton's proposition. I'm not going to read that. That's a little long. Who is this? Yeah. People need to be aware that there is a range of models that could explain the observations, all observations in the sky. For instance, I can construct for you a spherically symmetrical universe with the Earth at its center, and you cannot disprove it based on observations. You can only exclude it on philosophical grounds. What I want to bring into the open is the fact that we are using philosophical criteria in choosing our models. A lot of cosmology tries to hide that. George Ellis, 1995. That's the year I was born, actually. Funny enough. I haven't read a lot of these since I put them in here. Certainly not live. I think this one's good if I remember correctly. There is no planetary observation by which on Earth we can disprove that the Earth is moving in an orbit around the sun. Pretty sure that's probably the end of it. And this is Bernard Cohen. Not sure who that is. Yeah, the interferometry data did put a lot of people to shame. That's way too bright. I don't know if we're going to be able to read these. I've come to believe that the motion of the Earth cannot be detected by any optical experiment. That's, of course, Einstein. Einstein says again, to the question of whether or not the Earth in space can be made perceptible in terrestrial experiments, we have already remarked that all attempts of this nature led to a negative result. Therefore, the theory of relativity was put forward. It was difficult to become reconciled with the negative result. So again, the negative results of Michelson and Miller and some others put them on the back foot here. We're going to skip these because these are kind of hard to read through my screen. There's a lot of them, though. Like, if you guys are looking for geocentric quotes, hit me up. I was reading this to someone earlier, but I cannot read that through my cell phone. The struggle so violent in the early days of science between the views of Ptolemy and Copernicus would be then quite meaningless. Ptolemy was geocentrism, Copernicus was, of course, heliocentrism. Either coordinate system could be used with equal justification. The two sentences, the Earth moves and the sun is at rest and the Earth moves, or the sun moves and the Earth is at rest, would simply mean two different conventions concerning two different coordinate systems. Albert Einstein. I think we'll skip the rest of these. I think that's good enough for tonight. But there's definitely a lot of them in here. I have a whole bunch of stuff. This was a book I found on Internet Archive, which is the Wayback Machine, and you can see that I found a couple of them on here. I had to do a lot of digging to find a lot of this stuff. However, when I put this in here because it's a blank page, the rest of the book, like, I don't remember what I was looking at where I found the name of this book and it said it was on page whatever, right? The quote that I was looking for. And when I got to the Internet Archive, which it says a lot when you have to use the Wayback Machine to go find something, it means that they tried to cover it up already. I go to the book, and every other page is readable. Every other page has words on it. Every other page is fine. This one was blank. So I forget what this was or what it was supposed to say, but they got rid of it. I think that's worth mentioning, although you don't have to believe me, of course. Grain of salt, but I think that's pretty cool. Or perhaps not so cool. These ones I got from Twitter. We're going to skip the rest of these. Twitter, Caleb's Live, a bunch of other places. Had to formally request a document from the British government. Whoa, dude, you're going in, man. A lot of these are ones that we've read already. I just have like duplicates of a lot of them. This one's pretty interesting. I can't read it on the screen though because it's not going to fit, but this is Newton saying that for gravity to act instantaneously and at a distance through a vacuum is to me such a great absurdity that I believe no man who is in philosophical matters a competent faculty who has in philosophical matters a competent faculty of thinking can ever fall into it. I don't know if that was legible for you guys. He admitted that like he thought gravity would act instantaneously at a distance through an ether, and that the ether would act as a medium for the masses to connect. Okay, so when he postulated about the vacuum, he was like, "Dude, I don't think anybody with any competent way of thinking could even believe something like that." So even he didn't agree with like the idea of space being a vacuum and instantaneous action at a distance, and of course then and then you have these freaking morons that'll tell you relativity and Newtonian dynamics are the same and it doesn't matter. Like, no, dude, they fundamentally disagreed on so many things. It's insane. But I think that's the last one in here. I have a whole lot of other stuff. For those of you that don't know, I do have a Google Drive filled with just all kinds of stuff in here. Of course, these folders are all full with stuff. I have a Google Drive that I give out for like donations and stuff. However, I can help people out with like geocentric quotes for sure. All the geocentric quotes are in here too, I'm pretty sure. There's a slide for them, yeah. Or there's a folder for them, geocentric quotes. They're all in here. Yeah. So thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Appreciate everybody for coming. Shout out to everybody that gave gifts and stuff. You guys are all awesome. Message me if you need anything, guys, and we'll try again tomorrow. I'm sorry that we don't get guests the way that we used to, but that's TikTok for you. And I'm grateful that people come through and just kind of hang out for a little bit. All right, this guy's got to go. He's been coming here for like I saw that he was still here, and I've been meaning to like, am I gonna have to block you? What I'm thinking in my head, like, am I gonna have to block you, bro? Because you come here every fucking night, and as soon as you say some shit like that kind of settles it. But nice presentation again. Yeah, I can download this and upload it to YouTube. For those of you that don't know, you can get to my YouTube by going to the link tree in my bio, and it'll take you there. There's a link tree that has like a link to my YouTube. And you can of course check out like other debates that I've done, and there's like live streams and stuff. I'll upload this one tomorrow as like TikTok live stream episode, whatever it is, and then in parentheses I'll put like logic presentation so that it's, and then I'll find the other one the other night from the microwave thing, and I'll change the title of it to microwave presentation so that it makes it easier for people. Sorry, I'm just like kind of new to the YouTube thing. Social media has never really been my thing, but regardless, I'm glad that people are learning and that people enjoy it. So I'm grateful that you guys are here, and we'll try again tomorrow, guys. I love you. Peace, everybody. Take care.